Hello.
I hope you can hear us. If the sound quality is not very good or if you cannot hear us, the levels, please let us know in the chat. So let's give like 2 minutes to join for everyone. Okay, you can hear us. It's great. Perfect. Okay, so 1 more minute and we can start. So yeah. Meanwhile, we have this setup here today. As you can see, we have our letters of introverted, and we have Ami here, the dog. So she is going to be present during the podcast. So yeah, and we'll see how it goes. Okay. So 30 seconds more and we will start, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, what do you think? I think we can start.
Okay,
yeah.
Sure.
Maybe someone will join. So, hello everyone. Hello, my fellow introverts. This is Stacy. This is Iryna today.
Hi.
This is our first podcast, so we will see how it goes. This is an experiment. Yeah.
I hope you won't be very bored.
Yeah, I really hope you will like it. So, we'll see. So we've gathered. We gathered today to discuss sales and engineering team cooperation. In a second, we will go to the topic. But first of all, let me explain who we are, because probably you don't know yet. So Introverted is a community and also an educational platform. So if you want to discuss anything related to engineering or any IT-related topic, then you can just join our group and in LinkedIn, and you can write your topics. You can discuss it freely. It's very welcome, so that you write your questions or some of your opinions about something. So welcome. And if you want to actually increase your skills, then you can take a look on our website and see which courses and which webinars we are now doing. So you can join the webinars, and there is a very good test automation course coming up in October, so you can sign for this course and just join the site to see the syllabus and all of the details. I guess that's about it about Introverted. So let's start. I think we can start with presenting ourselves. So
Sure.
I think we'll start with you, Iryna. So
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Well, guys, I'm very happy to be here. I represent an IT company, a Polish IT company, where I have worked for about a year and a half now. But my total experience in sales in IT is almost 5 years now. Though before that, I had worked in a number of companies and in a number of businesses. So doing sales is not a new thing for me. At the same time, I used to be a teacher, a university professor for many, many, many years. So please do not be very bored. If you are bored, please write in the type chat or signal by some, I don't know, emoji, and I will shut myself up and let Stacy speak.
I will moderate her, so no, I'm sure you will not bore anyone. I'm just joking. So
Well, you see, I'm in sales, so in fact, my work is about talking to people, about speaking a lot. It's all like 99% of my time, of my work time, is communication. Sometimes in a written form, sometimes it is oral communication, but it is about communication. You probably know that communication is not only the speech. It is also the way you behave, the way you treat your body, your mimics, your everything that you do. You see, I raised my hands because I wanted to show that this is something important. So we use our hands, we use our body, we use our face, we use everything we can, all the possible means of communication to deliver the information to people who we are working with. And this is a core thing in sales. And today I'm going to share with you about how some tricks that salespeople know can be transformed into your life. And of course, I want to learn a lot from you because working in IT sales is a very special and specific thing because we don't know a lot of technology, but we have to. And this is why this podcast, this is why we are going to discuss all these items today, share information, share knowledge, and possibly we will come to some beneficial ideas.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe you have some hobbies to make it less diplomatic.
To make it less teacher-like, right?
No,
okay.
come on.
Well, my, I have a long life behind, and of course, I used to have a lot of different hobbies. Some of them are very simple and traditional. It's arts, it's books. It is music, of course. I can't live without music. I listen, I don't know, I spend like 3-4 hours every day listening to music and sometimes watching to pictures to my favorite fine arts. At the same time, I used to like jogging and I think I will do it again, but now I'm having a break. But probably I will do it, also do it quite regularly soon. I like swimming. I don't like travel. Ha!
You don't like travel?
No.
Okay.
I don't like travel. This is the thing that probably differentiates me from many other people. Well, other than that, I'm absolutely normal and maybe a boring person because, life makes us boring a little bit when we work too much.
I don't think you're boring, so and I know you for a long time, so I think no problems here.
Okay, well,
and you also like wine, right?
Yes,
because we have a question in the chat. Which wine do we drink? So yeah, we drink wine today. So I can show you. We are drinking Rafiki. So here it is.
Simple, very simple wine.
But very good wine. What is it? It's Sauvignon Blanc. So yeah. We want to keep this conversation informal, so this is why we're drinking wine. We're sitting in this atmosphere here. So.
Oh, by the way, in my long career, before I became a salesperson for IT, I used to do a lot of interpreting and translation for different diplomatic agencies, for businesses, just for different industries. And I learned a thing. Whenever I do work in a foreign language, and English is a foreign language for me, I cannot drink a lot.
Okay.
Whenever I work in a diplomatic environment, I cannot drink much. And I always prefer to have some mineral water or just water. So when you go to your job interview, please, please, please hide the bottle and the glass somewhere far away. Put a bottle of mineral water on the table and use it during the interview. Because if you're a little bit under the, under the alcohol, your mind sets up in a different mode, you see? So you shouldn't drink much when you're having an interview or a podcast because you will slow down and people will not like you.
We're not promoting drinking, so in general, but today is the first podcast. So
just having something wet in your throat is very good and it's very nice.
Yeah.
It's our very first podcast and we are very happy that we can share some knowledge and a little chin-chin with you. So if you have some drinks...
go ahead, so you can also drink with us.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can continue.
Yeah, I need to present myself as well. Okay, guys, so you probably have seen my videos. Maybe you haven't on the Introverted channel. If not, you can check them out. So I am a newbie in YouTubing, so I'm not a YouTuber, but I'm trying this out. So actually, I'm a full-stack software engineer. I work with Python and JavaScript. And basically, lately I understood that I want to share the knowledge, because at some point when you work for a long time, you build your career, you start you're getting this feeling that you want to share some knowledge with somebody. So this is why this introverted, it happened in our lives. So I'm trying to share as much as I can. And I used to be a quality assurance engineer, like an QA automation engineer, for 8+ years. So then I decided that I want to develop myself further, and I went to full stack, but I still do a lot of testing. And I think, it wouldn't be modest for me to say, but I think I'm kind of an expert in test automation. But of course, you always learn. You always learn everywhere
You
in
never
IT.
stop.
Yeah, you never stop learning. So this is what I do. And hobbies.
Yeah, hobbies.
So this is my hobby. I don't know if you can see her, but yeah, she's
This
my
is the backside of her hobby.
backside of my hobby here on the couch. So but apart from her, I do cycling. I do a lot of sports. I do bungee fitness. This is a weird sport where you have like attached to a bungee rope or something, and you do some fitness like aerobics and such things.
I've seen it. It's scary.
Yeah, it's not that scary. Maybe the first time. And so I also play mahjong, Richi mahjong it's called. So it's a Japanese version of mahjong, a game for people. If somebody wants to check it out, you can write to me in LinkedIn. Probably we can arrange something and play. So you can play online as well. And I also compose music, and I paint. So these are my hobbies, I think. So yeah.
I think we need to put a painting someday on the wall so that the listeners could
Sure.
see. Those who want to see
Yeah.
a little bit, you can switch on your cameras and take a look at the pictures. They're good.
Okay. So I think we should start with the topic to not bore anyone with us. So today we are going to discuss sales and engineering team cooperation. If you guys have any questions regarding the topic, you can write in the chat. You're welcome to write in the chat. Please write in the chat, because we will try to answer them. We have a sort of a delay a little bit in the stream, so we will not see the questions right away, but we will try to stop as soon as possible and answer your questions. If not right away, then we will do it at the very end of the stream. And we have like our own scenario which we want to discuss, because I have some questions to Iryna. Iryna has some questions for me as a sales engineer. Let's probably start. So as I said, the main idea behind the stream and the podcast is that we cooperate with the sales department, but I personally have no idea what you guys do in the sales department, and you probably don't know how we work in the engineering department.
Yeah, you're right. It's a problem. It's one of the biggest problems in many IT companies. This trying to find a balance between, or maybe to find a way, very good line of communication between the Department of Business, those who are doing the business part of, in fact, it's business, IT is business, and those who are doing the core technical part, because technical people understand the project from the technical way, but they quite often they cannot explain it to people who come for services to the customers. And this is why there must be some kind of a middle level of communication, some people who can transform the technical ideas for the businesses, for the clients, and vice versa, of course. So, well, I think I can share about what is the basis of the sales activities, because it's inevitable, it's necessary to discuss the basis first of all. So, in fact, we work under a kind of a motto, or a kind of the base statement, that if you are not taking care of your customer, then your competition will. And this is the best thing that we always need to keep in mind when we develop a company, when we develop a business. Salespeople in a company, they think mainly about creating revenue for the company. This is our main idea. This is our main task. But the IT part, the people who are technical, they practically are producers of the product that we salespeople are selling. This is why it is like management or business part in any other company and the production line. The IT people are the production line. Without them, the business cannot work. They are the main resource of the business. And this is why salespeople need to always know where the business is going. So we usually keep in mind our strategy, the main strategy of the business, and we are trying to adapt the strategy to the current changes in the market, in the world, and just any outside influences that may affect the business. So this is our part. So you can see there is not much technical idea behind this. We're doing business practically. But the IT people are our production line. So whenever a client comes, or even a potential client comes and says, well, you know, I need something like this and something like that, but I don't know how to do it. So please give me your capacity. Tell me what you can do. Then salespeople go to the production line. They find someone who can at least understand in general, based on their experience, of what kind of project is being requested. Because sometimes clients do not understand what they want. Probably you heard about that, right? Did you ever communicate with clients directly?
Definitely. But you know, it depends on the project. Currently, I work with the client directly, but the client is very technical, so I can, you know, I directly work in their team. So it's like not like we're a separate team.
It's a kind of a team extension for the client
like
company.
Like engineering. Like sharing or something like this, So.
But it's not always so. You see, quite often clients, in fact, all clients are different. Sometimes a company comes to us and says, okay, we are an insurance company, for example. We have no idea what you IT people are doing, but we want a platform which would be very convenient for our customers, because our customers want to have, on the one hand, some kind of comparison of different life insurance or health insurance policies. At the same time, they want to have their own accounts on our website. They want to have an opportunity to follow the changes in the legislation or in the account policy or something like that. So they want something that we want to have in our website, attached to our website. So you are IT people, you are technical, so do it somehow. We have no idea how you will do it, but make it comfortable, make it convenient for us, so we can do it in one click, and that's it. We don't want to interfere. And what do you usually do? The technical team is usually coming at a later point, right? You rarely hear this communication. You do not know that what is happening while the salespeople are doing this. So we salespeople usually take a whole long approach, because before a potential lead or a prospect, we call them leads or prospects, or potential customer becomes a real customer, there is usually a time period of half a year, maybe more. Sometimes if we are talking about a big company, it may take us like a year or two to attract the client, to prove that we are good enough to work with them. For example, if it is a bank, the banks are really very big. They are stretched all over the world. They may have different affiliates all over the world. They're pushy. They think that they are very important because they have a lot of money, millions and millions and millions of dollars. And here is this IT company. Yes, IT people are popular, but they are not as rich as banks are. So a bank usually comes and says, well, guys, please prove to us that you're good enough to do this project for us. And in such situations, there is a very long communication, and IT people, the technical part of the company, does not know what is going on there. And it's quite an exciting, a detective-like story, because we're communicating about very different things. We discuss their requirements, we discuss the business part of it. But of course, quite often we need the assistance of you technical people, because not all banks have IT departments, but now there is a tendency all over the world that many companies, like financial companies, industrial companies, tend to have their own IT departments, at least to be able to work with the programs that some other vendors had done for them. Because the programs are becoming more and more complicated, and of course they need some group of people
some
to do
integrations and
yes.
stuff. Yeah.
And so what's happening behind the screen, behind the vision of the IT company, of the IT part of the company, is this negotiation. So we set up communication, then it turns a little by little, it turns into negotiation.
Yeah.
It turns into negotiation when we start talking about the scope, the timeline, and the business part, the money of the project, the money that is necessary to make it possible. And this practically begins at the moment when we have convinced the company that we're good enough to do it. And how can we convince them that we are good enough to do it?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. So basically, how do you find the client? Because, well, let's imagine we have an outsourcing company. We don't have our product, right? So basically, how do you find those customers? And then how do you convince them?
This is a big story too, because you see, first of all, we need to understand that there are different ways of selling things. One way is doing it from a store, just traditional way, from a store, from a warehouse, from some physical place where you have products, where you have some goods, and you sell from there. On the other hand, now it's more traditional to sell online. To sell via virtual capacities of our techniques and technologies. And these are different things. In fact, the principle is the same. Imagine that you have a store, just a physical store in a busy street. And there is a big window in the store. You have to put something into the window, probably your product, or maybe some advertisement leaflet, or I don't know, some poster, maybe some installation to market your business, to market your products, or maybe to market your services, because selling services and products is also a little bit there is some difference in that. But it's not really that different. But still, if you imagine that there are these people going along the street and there is your store, you open the door in the morning and you're hoping that people will come into your store. But they don't, because they are hurrying to, they have their own business, they have their own life, and they don't want your product. They don't want to go into your store. Maybe if it is not bread, well, and they don't even want bread every day, but to say nothing about the things like computer projects or something. This is why, of course, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people passing by, and nobody even looks at your advertisement, at the window of your store. And then when one of them suddenly peeps and comes into the room, all of a sudden you're just happy because they came in, and you need to give them something, you need to show something, you need to show them around. In the store they say, well, how can I help you? What can you, do you have any questions? Can I help you to find something in the store? So we practically do the same thing. Virtual sales, it's the same thing. Just imagine that there is somewhere on the internet, somewhere in this big universe of internet, there is your website. It is hanging there. It is just one, like you know, there are as many websites as stars in the sky now. So it is hanging up there, and nobody sees it. So you take some measures, you take some steps to invite people, to attract people to see your little star on that very big sky. You do it with the help of marketing department. You do it with the help of different activities like, I don't know, posting articles, publishing something, attending different conferences and attracting people in physical communication, or just many different ways. But sometimes a client can find your website and then they come to you and say, okay, well, we want some project. Please tell us first. But first of all, tell us what are your costs, what are your rate card, what's your rate card like, and how can you sell it to us, and what can you do? So every company does it in their own way. And when a customer comes to your website and asks you for help, it is called, this is called inbound marketing, and they're called inbound clients. It means that they came to your website and through the contact form of the website, they sent you a request. Okay, that's one thing, one way. Another way is to go out to the internet, is just to search through that big sky full of stars. And sometimes you find some star clusters like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a cluster where there are many people who potentially may want a project. And when you send well, the statistics is horrible. It's just very pessimistic. When you send like 1,000 messages on LinkedIn, you may be lucky to have about 50 to 100 answers. 100 is too many. No, I think 50 to 80 answers. And of these 50 to 80 answers, at least 80% will be no, thank you. Or please do not bother me anymore. Something like this. And only 20% of those will be the people who may ask, okay, what's your rate card? What do you mean? What do you want? What do you sell? And of those people, maybe if you're lucky, there will be one who will say, okay, I need some full stackers, but they must be super good, and I need them tomorrow, and I need I need them to be speaking Finnish language, something like that. So this is how it happens. We either do it with the help of the inbound marketing when people come to us, our website, or we do it through outbound when we search out outside and we try to attract people by different methods. The statistics is said of thousands of messages, you may hope to have one potential customer, and this is not the guarantee. So sometimes you have to send 2,000 or 3,000 messages and still it will be not very good. So this is how it happens.
Okay.
But finally, when somebody pays attention to you, you need to use a lot of case studies, which IT people usually do. You take part in creating case studies for business development sometimes, right?
Yeah. Basically, I more estimate, let's say, but something like that. Sometimes I do that.
Yes, sometimes you need to show them the previous work of your IT team, and you are very lucky if somebody requests a project that looks somewhat similar to what had already been done by the company. So then you can tell them, okay, guys, you see, we have this description of the project, and it will be very good if you can show them some particular pieces of I don't know, some features on somebody's website. Sometimes clients allow you to disclose the information about the previous projects. Sometimes they don't, because
there is NDA, and
it usually starts with signing the NDA. And the client tells you, well, we don't want to popularize anything until it is ready, until it is finished. And then when it is finished, they say, bye-bye, thank you. And it takes you a lot of effort to make them agree to refer you to some other companies, to other clients or something like that. So it is not very easy thing, but still IT business exists, projects come up because the demand for projects is huge. it is crazy, and it is growing more and more. It's expanding every day. So I think that there are always projects somewhere out there, but the task is to find a way to attract the customer.
Yeah.
So this is it.
We have two
questions.
Yeah, in the chat. So maybe let's answer them before we go further. So first question is, what happens when a client changes requirements in the middle of the project cycle? Shall we answer right now, or shall we answer it when we?
Well, we can answer now, and then we can return to it if there is more information needed for that.
Okay. So,
well, if a client changes the requirement, of course, it's a big headache.
Oh yeah,
it's a big headache for everybody. For the team, it's a headache because quite often they come without asking for permission to change the requirements. They just come with it, and they come to the developer directly. They rarely come to the manager of the project. They come to the developer and say, well, please, you are doing this, just do more. Do please, and this and this and this and this, do more. And we want you to do this and this and this. Or you see, we have some important presentation on Monday, so please stop doing what you're doing now and do this set of, I don't know, set of images for the website, or create another page for us, make us some kind of web I don't know, an application, just a very quick application. Just you can do it. Why not?
Yeah, you could do this before, like this part that we were doing before, quite fast. So let's do it.
It's so simple. It's no problem. Well, so what does the developer do in such situation?
So usually this is bad news, because we in development world, we plan everything. So we have to deliver you guys the estimates. It's like, well, there is a pre-sales phase at the very beginning where we try to plan the whole project. Sometimes the whole, sometimes like a big milestone. But then actually after that, we are planning sprints, like two
sure,
2
everything
weeks
must be
sprints.
planned.
Yeah, so usually we have like at least 2 weeks iteration. Sometimes it might be like a month or a couple of months.
And you have a very strict amount of work to do within the sprint, right?
Yeah, well, it's not very strict, but we usually try to plan it, because it depends when we can release the project. So usually we try to plan it. And if something like this happens, well, it happened to me not in that scale that, you know, the whole project is being, you know, you have to write the whole project, but it happened in a smaller scale. So sometimes they want just another feature fast. So then usually we have to organize a big amount of meetings where we replan all of this stuff. Then the problem might be that you already have a lot of code written, and it's written in a particular way. So you will have to plan how to rewrite the code. And usually it's not possible to deliver it quickly, because you have to change the whole process, not the whole process, but the whole approach to this product.
And quite often, it is not only one person involved, but probably the whole team is involved, because
it's the whole team.
As soon as the client comes, or representative of the client comes to a single developer and says, well, just please make this change for us, it means that your work is being delayed, and the other people in the team are also doing something that is kind of connected with what you are doing. So you're automatically delaying the whole project, the whole work of the whole team. And this is why usually on my part, how I see this happening, I usually know that I receive a call or a message from the project manager, usually from the project manager, or in my company, we have also project coordinators. The difference is not very big, but the project manager usually manages everything.
But is it the same, sorry, but is it the same project manager that manages you guys and also the development team, like the engineering team, or it's some other?
No, it's the project manager. No, it's just the engineering team project manager. It's so the person who knows everything about the project and who directly communicates with the product owner on the part of the client. So usually we have these project managers, and they practically control the project on all sides, on daily basis, on hourly basis, all the time. And they usually tell the developers, well, if the product owner jumps over my head and comes directly to you and asks you to do something, the first thing you do, come to me. So
because you have project managers.
Yes.
We, for example, now we don't
in
have
your
project
company
managers.
you don't have. Oh,
Well, it's not in my company. In my company, we might have project
Uh-huh.
managers, but I work in an outsourcing company. So, but in the for my client, because I work directly with the client, and actually in most of the projects I worked with, it's we just had product owners. That's it. We didn't have project managers.
Do you know why?
I guess you have to pay them a lot.
Because they're crazy and expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
This is true. So, well, my company found a kind of a way out, a way around it, because if a client absolutely refuses to provide a project manager, but we still want to provide a good quality of services, and everybody has their own role, and there must be somebody who is kind of at least keeping an eye on what is going on the project team. We have these project coordinators. This is a so-called non-billable role. These people are paid just by the company, by my company, but they are not paid by the client. The client does not pay for that. Of course, it's our business and the business of our payroll department to structure the rates of our services so that these project coordinators' work is included into the cost of the final product. Of course, that's another piece of art, but let's leave it for the accounting department. But still, these people kind of control everything that is going on, and this is one of the ways to control and to to put, if not to put an end to, at least to restrain a little bit the passionate impulses of the client company about changing the requirements. So sometimes when they come up with a change in mind, or sometimes they may come and say, well, I think that this particular developer is not providing or showing us good performance. It's not performing very well. So we need to do something about it. Make a rotation. Give me another person, or give me two people on this role instead of one. Something like that. So quite often these are quite crazy.
I hate these situations because it affects us a lot in engineering. So
but this happens. This happens all the time. This is a part of the work of the account manager. And by the way, my position is called in my company now. It is called client executive. We have just client executives and senior client executives. The difference is practically, there is no difference. Just the senior client executive has to do a little bit more because they are more experienced and they work a bit faster. So this is the only difference. Or you probably know this role as an account manager. It's very good if an account manager comes from IT background, if they had some education in IT, or at least went through some course and understand the project life cycle, how the project works, and or at least has some IT people in their family, like I do. Then you can at least hear something about what is going on the technical side, on the other side of the project. But still, if not, then salespeople have to deal with these situations of change of requirements. So what we usually do is we first of all check the files, or sometimes a certain department in a company. In a large company, there will be a certain department. It may be called something like a talent allocation team. The team that is responsible for knowing about who does what and when and for how long. So they know everything about every developer, and they have this list of people who are on the bench or pool, you can call it different ways. And they have the list of all people in the company who are working at projects currently, and when they're going to finish, what kind of works they're doing, what kind of CV and then the skills in the CV they have, and everything. So I cannot know it all as a salesperson, because now in my company we have nearly 1,000 people. So it's really difficult to know about these things. So we have a whole department that is responsible for that. So I go to them and I ask them, well, guys, can you provide someone in replacement, or what can we do? The customer wants us to change requirements, and we need to find some way how to keep the timeline of the project.
Yeah.
Because the timeline is very strict, and sometimes if the business agreement with the client company is very strict, sometimes it is very strict because they say, well, we will pay you like 50K, you know, just 50K, and that's it, and no cent more. Then we need to fit everything into it. Well, and we are trying to find a way out. Either we provide someone in a shadow who also helps to do the project, to do this part of the project, or we provide a replacement, or we can simply go into the negotiation with the client. So what I do, I go to the product owner. I have a meeting with them. I ask them about what they think, how urgently and how necessarily this change is. If they say it is absolutely important, then well, I may try to go to the company management. If you see, because if the change that they're requesting is very costly for us, and we absolutely cannot do it, then we have to probably discuss it with the top management of the client company. And there is a risk that there may be some kind of miscommunication, of course, but usually we come to some solution.
I'm wondering, because I used to have a very problematic situation in one of the teams I work in. It was not actually an outsourcing company, but it was a production company, and we were just, they merged two teams, which is a very troublesome situation in general, because they wanted to merge two projects, which this company was working on. And we merged. We started to do some work there. I was a QA automation engineer back then, so we had to rewrite the whole framework for testing, because it was a new product actually. So it was like merging. There were some APIs which were the same, but basically the product was a new product. So. You couldn't just use the old test on them. So a big effort for testers, developers, for everyone. And the next day when they did the merge, they actually said that you have to do it in in half a year. And this is the deadline. You cannot do much longer because we have clients who want to buy it. And that's it. So my question is here. Do you usually, how does it look like? Do you usually ask developers for a re-estimate of something like this? Because if everyone changed like that, so you have like a very big feature change or something, do you re-estimate somehow? Do you communicate with developers?
Of course. We are lucky to have, on big projects, on serious projects, we are lucky to have project managers who usually do the recalculations, re-estimations on weekly basis. And if you do it regularly, every little change is being under the, under your attention, and you can you can raise the red light immediately. So before it comes really too far, you can make some change, and at least you can go to the management of the client company and discuss this. But in some situations, when it goes too far, I had a situation quite a few months ago when a client knew really very well what they wanted, which is sometimes difficult, because when the product owner of the client company knows really very well what they want and is a very good expert in what the team is doing, but the team is on your side, and you have your own, practically the whole team is your side, and you have your project manager and everybody. The product owner did not share their lack of satisfaction until the moment when they decided that it was absolutely not good. And only then the product owner started discussing it with us. It was a little bit too late, because it was in the middle of the project, and it was a bit too late to discuss the changes in the time of the project and of course the cost. And they were very limited in cost. They told that from the very beginning. We made the estimation for a certain amount of work, and in fact the amount of work did not change, so the truth was on the side of the client.
Okay.
But there was some kind of underperformance because we had to make 3 or 4 different design samples for the client, and this took a lot of time, this took a lot of effort. And then he said, well, no, I want somebody else, I want a different person, I want a different design, so just it doesn't work. But you still have the same time and the same money. So what we had to do, we had to communicate within the company, and we had to provide one shadow person. Of course, we made the replacement. We provided a better, or not a better, just a different designer, because every designer is good in their own area. We provided a different designer. Luckily, the client liked the second one immediately. He liked him quite all right. And we also re-estimated our own work. We had to reduce the hours of the project manager. We had to reduce some other roles. Practically, we had to do it behind the back of the client. But we adapted it to the time and financial limit that they had. And finally, we had less profit than we could have, but still the project was successful and the client was happy.
I wanted to ask that.
Yes, the client was very happy because we
Okay.
provided a very good designer and a very good illustrator who was backing up the designer. So they did an awesome website, very beautiful website.
Okay.
And in fact, the client was just a tricky German guy who knew that a site like that costs a lot more, in fact. And
Okay.
so he bought it for cheaper price.
That's good. That's a success story, because
It was good, yes. It was
different
good.
things might happen. Okay, we have more questions actually,
Okay.
so we need to
Let's
answer
go for
them.
that.
So the next question, I will just read it out because I didn't manage to right away. How is it possible for sales to sell features that are not developed yet without a clear understanding of how much time it will take to actually develop a given feature?
That's a very good question, really. Thank you very much. That's a very good question. It's impossible.
Okay, good.
It is impossible because, of course, salespeople do not know how the project magic is going and what is necessary to do a project. So whenever we receive a request, whenever I receive a request, the first thing I do, I run to a so-called discovery team. We have in our company, we have a discovery team. They call themselves Disco Team. Well, it's a small group of people who know that though they are specialists each in their own technical field, some of them are designers, some of them are UX specialists, some low-code designers, some, I don't know, different developers with different programming languages and so on. But they know that once in a while, they can be invited to do the estimation and to do this so-called discovery. So I run to these people. By the way, I ran to such people 2 times today with different requests. And I ask them to help me because I honestly have no idea of what the client really wants. Well, I can understand the general request because I had heard these words before, but I don't know how to implement it because it's very technical. So I come to these people. We get together in a call with the client. Usually a call is being scheduled, and it's my business to write to the client and arrange the time and everything for the call. And I invite 1 or 2 experts into that call. We make a recording of the call, and after the call, these people who were in the call, the experts, they know more about what the client wants, because if I listen to the client by myself, I wouldn't be able to retell it well enough for technical people, because of course they will still have some questions inevitably, because I understand the general business part. I may even be very experienced in doing similar projects, but I cannot know
Yeah.
everything. And so this team takes the recording of the meeting, and if necessary, they may request another meeting or even more. And they sit down and develop a so-called proposal of services. Sometimes they call it RFP, request for proposal. This request of the client is called request for proposal, and the proposal is usually quite a serious big brochure that may contain like from 10 to 30 pages of information with a preliminary general estimation of how the project, how much time, how much money, and how many people the project may involve, optimistically and pessimistically. So we give them two figures in the end, and two ways of estimation. We say, well, optimistically, it may take like 8 weeks and 4 people involved. And it will cost you this amount of money. Or pessimistically, if something changes, if you want more features into that project, or something is not going very well, for example, you don't like some images that our designers created, or you don't like some layout of the page or something like that, you need it redone, you see, then in this situation, of course, the pessimistic way, it may be like 3 months of time, and it may involve different other number of people, and of course different it will be cost. The cost will be different because the cost is usually done by simple multiplying of the number of people on the number of hours they work, and the general amount of work that is required for them.
In our company, it's done a bit differently.
Uh-huh.
It's slightly the same, but we don't have a team that does it. So usually they would take test automation engineers or developers, probably both of them, sometimes just manual QAs and developers. And basically this is like a side job or something like this. So you are getting paid for this, but you work overtime. So it's like a different thing that you can do apart from your job.
But at least you are interested because you are getting paid for that.
Yeah, we're getting paid for that. And I was part of such, we call it pre-sales phase, but I was part of such estimations like 2 times. I think one project was even successful, so they actually, they were a lead, so they accepted the offer, and I think I don't know if they work currently with the company, but it was like it was successful. And basically, what you had to do, we talked with the customer. They arrived to Poznan. We discussed with them all of the details, and then they provided us with high-level like features that they want to do. And my job was to actually think about which technologies and which people we need for this, how many man days we want here, and basically I had to estimate it all. I myself added I think 30% to all of this time, but I think this wasn't enough because I was sure that salespeople are going to increase it even more, because you need to have this backup. It's like now I have seen more projects after that. And I know that you have to add at least 70 or 80%, I believe, because it's like the things go wrong, like different things go wrong.
Estimations are never correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Never. It's just impossible to make it correct. But of course, it is usually the art of the salespeople to deliver this news to the client. Because of course, the client wants to have it as soon as possible and as inexpensive as possible at the best possible price. So they will be telling you, okay, how can we reduce it? We don't want 5 people here. Let's make it 3. Or let's make it let it be 2 people from your side and 1 person on our side and somebody else.
Or no seniors and all juniors.
Or yes, something like that. So just we don't. Do we need seniors here? No. Let's take
maybe
a junior,
one and like a lot of juniors because we don't have to pay that much for them. So
quite often it's done this way.
Just
Yes,
doesn't work.
it might be done this way. Or
Spoiler.
even sometimes if they
Yeah.
request a so-called MVP, which is minimum viable product, it means that you need to create the functioning product which has the minimal number of functions which just only allow it to work, but it doesn't have any additional functionality. Still, the way we see it is one thing. The company that does the project, we see it like a skeleton, like just this basic features. The client sees it differently. He says, okay, well, I need this and this and this and this feature. How do you think my customers will be using it? Because it's bare. It has nothing. So even the MVP should be discussed beforehand. And of course, the main part here is the communication before the project begins. The pre-sale communication, pre-sale negotiation takes a lot of attention and plays very, very big role, because the better you negotiate it with the client, or the more open doors you leave in the project, the better. Because sometimes if it is a fixed price, a fixed time, you have no open doors. You have to do it within some certain amount of time and with certain resources. Okay, do we have any more questions?
Yeah, we do. So actually we have two more questions, and I would answer. We have a question from Helen, and we will answer this question in a moment, I think, because we have a question that fits what we're discussing right now. So we have, do you use story points or mandates for estimates? I have a very good story about this, but yeah, please tell how it should be at first.
Well, salespeople, of course, we use everything for estimates. When we work with the team that is doing the technical part of the estimation, we usually add the business part to it. And quite often it is necessary to, of course, we work with man days, man hours. I don't know. Sometimes it's man months because it depends on what kind of scale you work with. But still, the salespeople do not go as deep as the story points. It's usually the work for the technical part of the team that is developing the project proposal. So salespeople do not, in my company, they do not go very deep into every story point. No, in fact, we do not work very much with backlog. We just look through what the special technical team has put together, and then the salespeople, they just do the estimation based on what they provided. In our company, the technical people do the general estimation, evaluation of the amount of services that must be done, preliminary about how much time it may take, optimistically and pessimistically, and salespeople are just mainly working with figures in dollars or in pounds or whatever is the currency.
Yeah, because I asked you because I want to know how it looks like ideally, because I had different situations in my life. So, but one project in particular, it was in story points, which was very strange, because usually you just get an estimate. Okay, you have to finish this milestone in, let's say, in half a year or something like this, or in a month, or you usually go slightly in the direction of the mandates in general. But I got a project where we had estimations in story points. And well, if you don't know what story points is, well, story points are measuring not the time, but actually the complexity of something. So it's like story points, you can derive time from story points, but you have to know how much story points a team can complete within one iteration, a sprint or whatever they use. So basically you have something that is called velocity, which is actually the amount of story points that you can take in one. Sorry, this is capacity. Capacity is the amount of story points that you can take into the sprint, and it is based on the velocity. Because velocity is calculated based on a lot of sprints that already happened. So this is like a median. It's like
an ever-changing,
average. Yeah, exactly.
Ever-changing.
It's an average of
the average
of the story points that you've been taking in the sprint.
And the changing stuff, because it may
it
change.
Changes, yes, but you take the average and you assume that the average is fine minus somebody going to vacation. You know, some risks that might happen. So basically, what we had to do. My company, they signed the contract, and the contract was saying that you have to calculate what will be your velocity. They gave us 3 months. No, sorry, it was 3 sprints. So it's like 6 weeks. 6 weeks to calculate the velocity, and then when we calculate it, we have to put it into the contract. And you must do
so they
the
fixed
amount.
It,
yeah, exactly. You must
this...
do the amount of story points that is in this velocity. If you do less, you get less money.
But every story point may involve a different amount of work, right?
Well, it's not
it's an average, of course, but still,
it's an average. Yeah, exactly. And if you do more, then you get more money for this sprint. But your velocity is rising, of course, because it's always rising if you do more and more. And they were assuming that okay, we will do more because we're a new team and we will work better together, and our velocity will increase.
So you had to work very slowly the first 6 weeks, right?
We did work very slowly, but you know. It's just mind-blowing. Why do you have to do something like that?
I agree.
We had a lot of issues with that, so we were thinking how to estimate, you know, just to somehow limit the amount of story points that we take. You know, just it was very creative.
It is always really mind-blowing. It is always very kind of emotional and stressful part of business, because you never know how it is going to finish. And for a client, you know, when you go into a store, you want to buy a dress.
Yeah.
You know what kind of dress you want. You know what kind of dress will fit you better. You know what kind of fashion, color, and in what kind of occasions you are going to wear it. So you know about all that. You're a buyer who knows what they want. And you will not want to buy anything that is packed without trying it on you, because you have no idea how it is going to look on you. It may be the color you need, it may be the size you're asking for, but if it is packed, if it is in the package and they do not allow you to try it on yourself, you never know how it will fit. You never know how this tissue will feel on you, and whether you will be satisfied or not. It's the same with the clients that we have in IT industry. They never... On the one hand, even if they know what they really want, even if they create a whole scenario for you, because sometimes they come with a very good description of the project that they want to have, still they do not know what they are buying, and they're nervous. They do not trust us to the end anyway, because they know that they're buying a product which is packed and which they cannot try on themselves before buying it. Because there is no product. They just wait it to be done. So this is why the problem is in trust, in communication, and in setting up the contract in such a way that it fits both the interests of both sides, the buyer and the seller. In your case, those buyers were quite strict. Probably the company really wanted to have them, so they agreed to this terrible condition of fixing everything once and for all, and keeping people.
Asked even if we can redo the contract, because it was horrible to work like that.
It is definitely lack of trust, lack of communication.
They said, well, we cannot change the contract, so this Yeah, this is business, so
The
this is
client
how it
is always
works.
right. Yes, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. This is business, and of course, I know that some people go to IT because they are happy that they will be paid quite well, but they will have no will not have to think about doing business. Some people just don't like it because it is stressful.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of your time and effort and attention, and just some people don't like it.
You know,
But
yeah.
still,
It goes now to that direction that you have to have soft skills. You cannot just hide in the coding, because from what I see, the trend is that you don't have project managers, you don't have even team leaders sometimes. So you just this is economy,
it's
of
an
course.
interesting structure. In your company.
I have had a couple of no, this is not my company. This is just the projects I work with, because in my company, well, you have project managers, you have different guys, but in a couple of projects where I worked in, and in a couple of companies, like previous companies.
Yes, if the company is not an IT company per se,
it even doesn't matter. In IT world, it's also like self-organizing teams are getting more and more popular. Well, this is not the topic of this podcast. We probably should do another one about this, because this is a very big topic.
Very interesting.
But in general, yeah, this is what is happening. So. Yeah, this becomes a problem sometimes.
So how do you solve it in your company?
Well, we have Scrum Masters. Usually, you have Scrum Masters. This might be not. It can be a role. It might be not one person who does it, but it can be a role. Even we can exchange this role during different sprints. So usually, Scrum Master is doing not only Scrum Mastering, but also other stuff. So you usually have a Scrum Master, and you always have a product owner. So product owners are always there, but the rest of the things that you have to do, it's like you do those Scrum procedures, like planning, retros, and groomings, etc. And these are well defined. So the team just goes step by step, by the book of Scrum. They do it, and this is how it works. And usually somebody is a moderator during the meetings, but you don't have like a team leader, which is very bad, to be honest, on my point of view. But this is the trend right now. So this also affects our life a lot. But yeah, let's not discuss it, because it's a big topic.
Yeah, we can discuss it any other time.
We have more questions.
Sure.
Okay, so Helen, we're getting back to you. Sorry, we wanted to ask that other question right away. But Helen is asking, what is the role of project manager, project coordinator, and why so many roles are necessary, like PM, PO, team lead, etc.
That's that's a very good question, because you see, to an outside person, it looks that yes, there are really many roles, and it looks like they interact. They kind of intercede with each other, because the project manager and the product owner and the team lead, they may be partially doing the same thing.
Yeah.
The team lead needs to control what the team is doing on the technical part, but at the same time, everybody wants the team lead to be the organizing person who puts the team together and creates a certain spirit in the team. The project manager does the same. Practically the same, but the difference is that the project manager usually takes care of partially of the business part, because the project manager, unlike the team lead, needs to think about the technical part, but from the point of view of business. The project manager calculates the amount of time that people work. The project manager needs to control how it corresponds with the money that is being paid by the client. Here you may ask, okay, what's the salespeople do then? At the moment when the project manager is calculating the project part, the part of the of the team, the work of the team, the salesperson may be negotiating with the management of the client company about the new project, or about the changes, about some risk mitigation stuff, or some different stuff that is also related to the project, but it is not directly about the details within the project. So the team lead is doing the technical part. The team lead needs to control that every team member is performing in a good way, that they write good code, that this code will be readable by the future generations of people who will be looking at it, that the final product is good enough technically from the technical point. The project manager and project coordinator, they take care of how the team is working in terms of time mainly, because the team may want to go for a vacation. Somebody in the team may be ill and some replacement must be needed. Sometimes a rotation is necessary when the client says, well, I don't want this person, give me another. It is possible. If the change happens in the requirements for the project, then again the project manager calculates everything. The project managers usually study it when they go through special education, and they work within certain frameworks and certain methodologies. They create these big charts, schemes, tables, and they have a lot of tools which look scary because they are so complex and so magnificently correct and good, because just in a couple of clicks they can enter information into some table that looks like an Excel table, and then in a second they have a whole scheme or chart of how the whole team is working, how much time they are spending, how much money it will cost, and something like that. So project manager is a very important person, and if in your company you don't have them, then probably Scrum Masters, poor Scrum Masters, have to take that role.
Either them or product owners. I feel
maybe product
this
owners
is somehow separated between those two roles.
I think so, yes. I think that by just deleting project managers, they simply splitted the responsibilities into 2 or 3 different other roles, because anyway these roles are necessary. They're very necessary, very important. Also, there are different other people behind the project. It's like all these people partners, some kind of
there's HRs.
HRs, yes, the people who work with the developers indirectly. But they're also very necessary, because sometimes when a change in the project happens, when you need to replace one person with another, you need to find the right match, and you need to do it very fast. Quite often, practically always, it happens just out of the blue. The client comes and says, well, just change this person, I want another one. Or a developer comes to you and says, well, my wife is going to have a baby tomorrow. So I need a vacation.
I'm just bored. I want another project.
Yes. Let me take my vacation. Or let me go away.
Just another project. I want to change this client to someone else. So
it happens. It immediately affects a lot of people in the company. You see, I wanted to just while we're just coming to the next question, I wanted to share with you a very interesting theory that I have been working with. It's a scientific theory. In my previous biography, where I was a university teacher and did a lot of research for my university work, I did system dynamics. It's a very exciting theory. It was developed in the 20th century, starting from the 60s of the 20th century, mainly by Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the famous MIT. Then a laboratory was opened in Harvard, and so you can see the scale of this research. So the best minds of the mankind developed this theory. The theory it can be explained in a very, very simple way. Imagine scales, simple scales with the cups in which you can put weights, little weights, right? And just these classic scales, just like the ones that were used in the past, which with a stand and the cups hanging on little strings or ropes. Now imagine that you have like thousands of such scales on the same surface, and all the cups of all these scales are connected with little ropes or wires.
Okay.
So whenever you put weight into one cup of one scale, all of those cups come in motion. right?
Like butterfly effect.
Like a butterfly effect, yes. Just it's very good, easy to imagine it. So whenever you touch it, whenever some outside influence come to one cup of the scale, the whole big field of these scales starts moving. Some of them that are located very far will hardly move at all. There will be just a little bit of a trembling, maybe not even noticeable with the eye of a person, but still it will be there. And some modern techniques may notice it and establish the level or some kind of coefficient of the change that this change produced in that far cup or piece of scale. Now imagine that instead of scales, you have pieces of information. All these multiple pieces of information that describe your project, the technical part of it, the business part of it, your client, and the environment in which the client works, your own company, your management structure, the relationships between people, everything. All of these, it's millions of pieces of information related to one single project. A project may be just a 1 week long, but there are a million pieces of information that are involved into that, and all of them come into motion when you make a little change. When the customer comes and says, well, I don't want this design, I want a different one. Okay? So even without seeing it with our eyes, we kind of sense that there will be a change even in the client's area and in the technical team. So it's not only affecting the particular designer who was doing this design and who did not do it right, but it affects everything, the whole big amount of information that relates to this project. So if you approach your project with the system dynamics approach, moreover, this whole system of information that changes by a little motion or a little any outside effect, it is developing in time. So we need to remember that all these cups of scales are moving in time, and they are being affected by different but multiple effects on all sides, on the side of the client, on the side of our company, on the side of the technical team, on the side of, people partners, talent allocation team, anybody. And this is why, of course, we need to keep all of that in mind. And this is why people in the sales department are kind of organizing people. We have to keep all that in mind as much as we can. Sometimes computer programs help us because, of course, we have different very good tools like Salesforce, like HubSpot, like, different other millions of different other project applications that help us to keep the information at hand. But there must be someone on the project, one or two people who understand and keep in mind most of the information, practically at all times. So practically either the project manager or the salesperson who is dealing with this account, the account manager, are the people who know most of the information about the project. They don't know the technical part, but the very deep technical part. They know it only in general, but it is necessary to have such people, and they need to control the project, the whole life cycle of the project. Because I anticipated the question that why do we need salespeople till the end of the project? Well, we need a salesperson in the beginning, but why should we see that face till the end of the project? So this is why.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Do we have more questions?
Yes, we do. So we have another question. What metrics do you, as sales, use to ensure that the project is going with a good pace, or is it not your responsibility?
Well, my metrics is usually the face of the client. If the face is happy,
okay.
If the face is happy, the client and the product owner, sometimes, just a representative of the client company who I work with, because usually it is 1, 2, 3, not really many people. Just usually it's the one main person and a couple of other people who come up once in a while. So if they have happy faces, if their emails do not have exclamation signs or anything written in bold, that it's okay. then it means that the metrics is working in my favor. We do not have really particular metrics on the technical part, but we communicate with the technical team.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if you are
Mhm.
actually using the metrics that we deliver, because we do
Mhm.
calculate some metrics.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know if you directly look at them or you just communicate with the product owner or project manager.
We look at them, of course,
Okay.
to the level that to
Mhm.
which we can understand it. Because sometimes we do not understand all of it. But in general, yes, of course, it is accessible. When we create the proposal of services in my company, there is usually a big part devoted to the technical description of the technical part, how we are going to do this, how we are going to develop the project. And quite often you see in modern companies, this is another thing, a big thing that can be discussed. The technical part is combined with the business or business analytic part, because a company comes to us sometimes and asks us not just to do the project, to do the practical coding, but they want us to create an audit of their existing application because they want to turn it into a super app, for example. And they tell us, okay, guys, we want you to create an audit, a business and technical audit of what we have now, because we see that it works well, the clients like us, but we want more. And we want to add more features to this, but we don't need to know how to add those additional features without breaking what we already have and without stopping it, because the application is already working. So we need to do it in a good way, and we need to know how to market it, how to create more, attract more clients to us, how to increase this sector of clientele. So quite often it is not just coding, but also consulting, providing a different level of services. And I think that more and more companies do it. Probably your company does that too.
Yeah, we do consulting as well.
This is why the metrics, yes, somebody must create it. And of course, the salespeople, to some level, yes, we use it, of course. We have to negotiate based on that. Sometimes if I don't understand something, I go to our technical people and ask them to spend time with me in a chat. They discuss things with me, they explain something to me, and then I begin to understand how this thing works. Well, there is no end to study, but with experience, you learn a little bit here and there, and sometimes we use it.
From my experience, I know that very often QA team is more linked to the customer, and basically the QA team, they invent which metrics we need to get to ensure that the product is ready or it's of good quality, and they usually deliver those
or maybe
metrics.
Some particular features during the whole life cycle of the project.
So they have their own metrics, of course, like traceability matrix. This is something that links how many tests you have for each features, which tests are covering which feature. But apart from that, they might collect how many bugs we have, or how many income, what is the weekly income of the escalations, for example, for the customers. So what are the customers' bugs we're receiving? So and things like that, like what is the performance of the product that we're doing. So they're gathering like a lot of things which can help you to make it a good product. And they're thinking more about customers. And what is a good practice is that the QA team should look how the customer is using the application, not just invent the tests because the requirements say so, but they use some different tools like Hotjar, for example. It collects the clicks, it sees, it like makes heat maps and collects the usage statistics which the users do. And based on that, they can see, okay, most of the users click this and this button very often. They use this application in this way. So we have to create test cases based on this and test the application this way.
And you usually have to suggest to the client what kind of test is necessary particularly because
No,
they may not
we
know?
don't suggest anything
No?
usually. We just do it internally in the engineering team, but we actually see what the client is doing without directly talking to them. We just know because we have some tools, or we just ask you guys. So we gather these statistics, and usually the QA team is responsible for this to understand whether it's okay or not for the client.
I think I also have a question to you. I know that in many situations when a project is being discussed between the buyer and the seller, there is usually the question comes up that can we avoid having a QA?
Oh, this is a big topic.
So how do you prove to the client that you are good enough to be involved into the project and that you are necessary, that a QA must be involved into the project? How do you prove them?
Usually you have to have some criteria of the product, which the product should comply before being ready for production or something like this. So usually you have to show something like this. I don't know if this will convince the customer. I never convinced the customer myself, but I convinced some managers. So basically this is what you usually do. So you show how basically you have to collect the criteria for the product and understand, for example, that 80% of the tests should pass before we deliver it to production. Or, for example, what is the incoming rate if you do some testing? You can try some testing and show them the results. This is the best thing that will work because usually they don't want it. They want to reduce the amount of testers. So what you usually do to convince them is actually you say, okay, so let's try it out for, I don't know, a couple of sprints, or maybe even one sprint, and let's see what happens. What we deliver to you, if it changes somehow. And basically the main idea is to show them that it actually improves the quality of the product. But of course, in this case, you have to collect those results and show some, I don't know, graphically show it, because you have to do some graphs, some numbers, to collect some numbers to show them, so that it's more convincing.
I see.
So this is how you do this.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I know that one of the ways to convince the customer that they need some testing or some kind of check what the product looks like and how it works is by wrapping it into the cover of a different name. So you can say that it's a consultant. It's or kind of a research consultant. So somebody must do the research of the project that you have, of the features of the project, and this consultant checks how these features work as soon as they are being developed, and creates their assumptions, conclusions about whether it's good enough or not, and something like that. So it's just, in fact, it is the same thing as doing the testing, but with some additional assumptions, and it can be called a consulting or kind of researching, because sometimes there is a whole piece of service that is wrapped like a kind of a fixed price sold service, which is it may involve somebody who does the testing, somebody who provides consulting, somebody who offers some kind of research and the analysis and the result of the research. But of course, the testing is necessary there.
Well, you can do some tricks as well. So sometimes if the customer doesn't want any QAs in the team, so what you could do is basically say that, okay, we don't have any QAs, you don't want to pay extra money for the QAs, but yeah, we will do our testing using only developers, because this is a cross-functional team approach. So you can actually do it the way that developers test the code. They might exchange the features that they implemented, so that it's it's not like you wrote this and you test it. So you can exchange with another person to make it a bit better. Now, of course, it has some drawbacks here, but in general, this way, if the client accepts, because the team stays the same, you have only developers, but what you have to do, you have to put the estimates of the testing inside of the tasks that you're doing. And then you can sell it this way.
That's a good idea too. Well, yes,
I've been there, so
you see, it's really an amazing thing when the technical part of the company can come into very good coordination with the business part of the company, and then it creates this very good ensemble of ideas and of solutions that we can offer to the client. So yeah, it's a very good idea.
Yeah, other thing that you can do to save some money is, well, it depends on the product, but most of the games, for example, game development, they just do alpha testing or beta testing. They just give a piece of the game to production. They deliver like a beta version of, or alpha version of this game to certain people. Usually it's like not to everyone, but you can apply for alpha or beta and try it out, and you have to report the bugs that you find. It even happens sometimes that you have to buy this game before it's being released,
of course,
and then you can try it out and do some testing. So even such things happen.
Why not? It's a good idea, by the way.
Yeah, because the game is usually hyped like a lot before, long before it's going to be delivered. So it's like it might be even a couple of years before it's being delivered, and people are very hyped, so they want to try it out because they've been waiting for it for such a long time. So they just subscribe for the open beta, they try it out, or it might be even not an open beta, it might be a closed beta. So, you know, you might not even be able to test it. So, yeah.
I can see that still, even with all this kind of sentiment against having test people on the projects, still the requirements are higher and higher, the quality requirements, and there are more and more projects that are requested to be done in a very, very good way, in very high quality, especially the projects related to security, or some projects that are requested by some banks, financial structures, or sometimes in medicine, if you develop some software for some medical tools, that's a very, very high level of testing must be done. And I think that the demand for good specialists in testing is growing really exponentially.
I think to avoid situations that you the customer will say, okay, we don't want testers, you have to, when you do this pre-sales phase, you estimate it and you sign some contracts, you have to put some information about what do you expect this product would do. So basically, what would be the performance criteria in general, how do you see the quality of this product? And then the customer signs it, and then he doesn't have an option. So he might not have an actual tester in this project, so there wouldn't be a role of a tester, but there would be anyway developers or maybe shadow persons that are testing this product. So, but this must be in the contract. So when I was doing the pre-sales phase, I actually had a section there which was describing the quality of the product and what are the requirements from the quality to in order to be able to release this product. So
I see.
I think this is the way of doing this.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I'm now working with a project. We're only beginning. It hasn't started yet, but we are discussing it, and I think that we will be doing it. The client is a big financial company, and they need very high quality of work. And besides just doing the coding for them, we need to create some analysis of their existing applications. They have a number of applications that they work with. They have hundreds of thousands of clients that are working those apps. And of course, the apps must work really well, because other way you will have hundreds of thousands of complaining people. And of course, nobody wants this. This is why when they add new features into the application, they need to have very, very careful check and testing. And there is even a talk about doing it on their site, that some of our team members must go to their site, to their office. It's in a different country, and do it there. Spend some time there, work with their clients, do some analysis and research of how clients take this application, how they feel about it, and maybe do some questionnaires about how they will accept or not the new features that are going to come up. And based on that, the idea of how to develop the project, what kind of project to do, will be developed. So it's a quite a big thing, and I think that one of the people who will go will be the expert in testing, application testing, because that is really
That's crucial.
one of the crucial things.
Yeah.
Okay, well, any more questions? And I think it's maybe we've been.
We have one question, which actually, well, we can make.
When are you going to finish?
No. When, which actually deserves another podcast. So Helen is asking, can QA avoid the enslavement of AI? Good one. Well, it's hard to say, to be honest. In some point, maybe AI might replace testing in some point, I would say. But anyway, I think it's like, well, users of the application, they might do very strange things because they're human beings. So I think definitely you need somebody, some human, to take a look at the product. It's not like the AI will understand it. And it depends on the AI as well, because well, ChatGPT 3, I believe, so it's like it's based on a very very old information for us. So basically it's like it has outdated information about user experience as well. So I think, well, you can use the latest AI and probably it will be better, but still, I don't believe it. I think
that in my mind, the AI does not have the creativity of stupid people.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they
as well.
Just, you know, some people can do such dumb ways, dumb things, that it is practically impossible for AI. Even if you put all the dumb things that mankind did into this database of AI, still people are even more inventive in doing very stupid things. This is why I think that still there will be some potential for QA people and for testers to at least take a look at what AI did, and AI will help to make this work much faster, of course, a few times faster than if a human being had to take care of every little thing. But still, the creativity of the human mind is still...
There is another problem with AI, is that if you want to use a robust, serious AI like this, then you need a very big hardware capacity, and sometimes it's just not enough, or it's very expensive, like mind-blowingly expensive. So it's just not worth it. It's nowadays. I mean, of course,
I won't be able to sell such an expensive project. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's very big money, so it's going to be much better to just hire some QAs and they will do their jobs, or maybe even do beta testing, as I said before, or maybe developers can take care of testing. Well, it's not the same as having
I think what kind of situation we are going to have in a few years from now. I think that we will again give two options in our project proposals to companies. One will be it's not like optimistic and pessimistic, but one will be a long-term but less expensive, and the other will be a lot more expensive but shorter in time, because when you use AI, you can create it very fast, you can create it very quickly, but it will cost you a lot because you need to have all that very expensive hardware. Or you can use some people who are sitting on the bench and waiting while AI is working. They're just sitting and waiting till somebody employs them. And probably many companies will select human work because it will be less expensive. It will take long time, but
Yeah.
it will be less expensive. So I think that we're going to go to that.
Yeah, we will do another
That
podcast
phase.
about AI, I think, because
Let's do it.
yeah,
If you do it, it will be very, very
it's going
good.
to be interesting.
Mhm.
Okay, so I guess we have to wrap it up already.
I think it's time to wrap it up.
Let's not make it too long. Yep.
Guys.
So, guys, thank you for staying with us.
Thank you very much.
You are there.
Thank you very much for
Yep.
being very kind in your questions. You
Yes.
did not ask anything that made us blush and just hide under the table.